Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am replacing yet again the rubber paddles on my 821 QZE Toro snowblower. I do about 5 or 6 properties every time it snows, and I mentioned in one of my other videos that the cracked pavement around here really kind of chews them up. So they only last me about 1 or 2 snowfalls, believe it or not. So I'm replacing these things constantly. It's worth it though, because when they are worn, you can tell very clearly that the machine performs much less efficiently than with new paddles, obviously. And it doesn't scrape the snow like tire tracks in the snow on the pavement. It doesn't scrape those up, and doesn't throw as far, doesn't throw wet, heavy stuff, etc., etc. So I need me my new paddles. But anybody who's ever tried this knows that in the corners, these corner bolts on the Toro are extremely difficult to get in there. They don't give you a lot of room. So what I found works is that if you use a little silicone paste, that's 3M brand, but any brand will work. You just pack that with silicone grease there. And these things turn much easier. Whether you got a power driver on it or just a ratchet, look how easy that turns. Almost, you can spin them almost by hand. And that's part of the battle, is when these things are manufactured, these rubber paddles, that hole is so undersized that when you go to put those screws in there, they barely budge. So it fights you constantly when you're trying to get that hard to reach nut on the back of that driver right there, on the back of that bolt. So especially in the corners, and you can even do them here if you feel a need to, but those are so accessible, it's kind of easy to get those. And in one of my other videos, I also mentioned the Toro has a specific way that they want you to install these things. Let's see if I can get a better shot of it here. Installing the rotor blade. Yeah, I can kind of see that, I guess. I don't think it's focusing very well. But basically what they're telling you there is that there's a difference in thickness. You can see that thread layer in there. There's 2 thread layers. Then a really thick area of rubber and a thin area of rubber on the other side, closer to the threads. They want this thick side down towards the curved area, basically on the inside of the curve. So if we go over to the machine here, in the darkness, I'll get this light going. So they basically want this the curved area to be like this, or the thick area to be on the inside of the curve, as opposed to this way, where the thick area would be on top. I guess that's not recommended. So for whatever reason, I guess the rubber wears a little bit better on that side, not the threaded side. And of course, anybody that's ever done this knows that these are the hard ones to get to here, because you have to get back there with the nut. So what I do there to get on the back side is just use a pair of thin vice grips like this, needle nose vice grips basically. Hold the nut in there and hold it on the back while I'm spinning that special fastener in there. And don't forget the, oh boy, don't forget the metal spacers here. Now you got to take those out of the old paddles. Here's the old one of the old paddles. Show you why I took this out of the machine. So that's basically what one of the old paddles looked like, just completely shot. After about, I would say, probably a dozen properties, some pretty aggressive snowfall. And here, I'm looking for the wear indicator hole. You can see it right there. Try to do this one-handed. So that hole there is the wear indicator hole. It's like a little 1/4-inch hole that they drill into the paddle when it's new. And supposedly, when you get to that point of wear, you're supposed to replace the paddles. And I don't really use that hole. I don't look at it a lot, but I just tell by the way the machine's performing. You'll see it drop off drastically when these things start to wear that much. And what you're looking for is the gap between this metal housing back here. Not so much the scraper blade here, but that housing and the rubber paddles. You can kind of stick your finger in there. When they're new, that spacing is very, very thin. And when it's worn down to that wear indicator, you can almost fit your fingers between the paddle and that metal housing. So it's really not, those paddles aren't really pushing the snow up the chute like they should when they're worn that far. So I almost thought about having some of this material, this outside diameter right here, taken down, either on my grinder or, just file it down or something, or finding some bolts off of like McMaster car or something that had a smaller diameter here, and just keeping those, because that hardware basically stays with the machine for its life unless they rust out or you lose them. The paddles you're changing regularly, and instead of trying to drill out this rubber to make it easier to turn those bolts down here, if that ID on those bolts were a little bit smaller, you wouldn't really need the silicone to help get them moving. It would probably work out even a little better than just the silicone alone. But I'm going to try it with just the silicone here and see what happens. So I just thought I'd show that to you guys. This was from a very old set of original Toro blades that I purchased a long time ago. And I noticed that they don't ship this with the blades anymore. You hear people talk about which way to install them, but that's the actual Toro recommendation. So anyways, I'm going to get on with it. I just thought I'd share that little tip with you guys. And getting these to turn much easier helps you when you're pressing. You're in there basically pressing down and twisting and turning. The machine wants to rock back and forth. It's sliding all over. I got mine on my truck bed there where I work on it, so it's waist high. And so it's really a struggle to get these actually 4 bolts in there. So hopefully the silicone will help. And I've used it in the past, and it does significantly make the job easier. So, all right, that's it for this one. Thanks, guys.